Hi guys and girls, and welcome to Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand. I'm the host Dave D, and thank you for joining me here today, and thank you for joining our family. For you guys out there, of course, who have already subscribed to the channel, thanks a lot. And of course, for you guys out there that want to know all of what's coming up and happening, hit that notification bell right now. Of course, we are a listener-sponsored podcast. We survive from you guys liking us and we liking you. We're one big family. Thanks for joining us. There's a lot to come, and we'll see you soon. Don't forget all the links below. See you next time. Bye.
Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.
And welcome to Pattaya, welcome to Thailand, and of course, welcome to the Talking Heads studio. And a nice, sunny morning, and of course, in the studio, as per normal, Barbie Parr's down at the end of mission control. Nice and early this morning, Bobby.
We're too early today.
Too early we are, but we've got up, especially for this man. Ross Cain, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm absolutely great, and thank you for your efforts. Get up so early, Bobby and David. Really
efforts is the right word.
I can see that.
We pulled David out of bed.
And so I'm impressed. Thank you.
Good. All right, Ross, for people that don't know you, and of course, we sort of know you, but we want to get to know you more. Whereabouts are you from?
Well, I hail from Manchester, which is northern England. So obviously everyone in England or Great Britain would know that. Most of the people in Europe would from Brexit. And actually most of the people in the world know England and Britain. Not really for the football team, but there you go.
They know the Manchester.
Pretty good. Huh?
They know the Manchester.
Yeah. I've got a little bit of a Manchester accent there. So yeah, Manchester's my home. I'm very strong into the roots of Manchester and Manchester music and football and the history of Manchester with the Romans.
Are you a United fan?
Sorry?
Are you a United fan?
I'm a Manchester City fan. I was born a Manchester City fan. It was a blue house and the blue household. We had a blue neighbourhood and blue pubs. Everything was blue on my side of the street.
This sounds like Smurfs Village to me.
Very blue. Those days we're not the best in the 60s and 70s for Manchester.
60s, oh, what days they were.
Great team, though. Those are the team with the Franellis and the Summerbees.
Beautiful. What about the schooling? I mean, how did you get on with schooling? I mean, what was it like? Was it all in Manchester, all your schooling? How did that go?
Yeah, I mean, remarkably, I had such a wonderful upbringing. The hardest thing I suffered with was dyslexia, so I failed my 11 plus. But it kind of worked out well for me. My brothers went to grammar school, and I ended up at the comprehensive, getting through the school of hard knocks, if you like. But through that, taught me so much, and I owe a lot to what happened later in life, to the experiences that I had there and the friends that I met.
Surprising because you said the dyslexia, which is exactly what I've got. And
really?
Yeah, and at school, the only two things that I did, I don't know how it affected you, but the only two things that affected me at school was I was good at maths, and actually I was good at art and acting. That's the only things I was good at. The rest of it you can forget. I mean, it just didn't sort of like.
Yeah, I agree. It makes sense when you say that, David. I think the thing was, it'd have been nice if it had been identified and been able to be nurtured in a way that it doesn't necessarily hold you back. So I failed my 11 plus because of spelling was just all over the place.
I was terrible at spelling. Do you tend to find that you used to? I mean, of course, you've still got dyslexia now, yeah.
Well, I kind of worked it out, and I mean, computing has helped me dramatically from hiding my embarrassment, if you like.
Which it was at the time, wasn't it?
It was very embarrassing, and it was especially good working through as I went on later and into business. But as computing came in, and you became more self-centric on not depending on secretary pools and stuff like that for doing your typing and word checking and things. You had to do all that yourself.
Did you tend to find, like I did with dyslexia at school, that you wrote things down the way that you could understand them even if they were spelt wrong?
Absolutely. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And for you, it's right. And it doesn't matter how many times you see it spelled. As soon as you write it, it's the
They used to say to me, "What's that?" And they'd ask me all these questions, and I'd just reel off all the answers, and they go, "Well, how do you know that? Because on your paper you've just got a load of gobbledygook, and I don't even understand what you've written." But I did.
Yeah, actually, maybe that's who wrote all the special languages, the codes and things. Because guys who had dyslexia in war, they wrote all these special languages. It may have been those guys.
Well, it should have been a 1 when it was a 0, or 0 when it should have been 1. Yeah, is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean,
all the coding guys are dyslexic. Well, okay, that's pretty cool. What about schooling though? I mean, how was it? I mean, what was the sort of regime in Manchester? You know, junior school, high school, college. What was it like?
yeah, sure. I mean, I was pretty lucky. The house where we had a big house. There was 4 brothers, and mum and dad were incredibly supportive. I went to the junior school. It was right opposite. So that was very, very
handy.
easy.
Handy.
I could almost hear the bell go, the first bell, and get ready and be there. But I went through in a very much uniform. So all my early schooling was wearing uniforms and the caps and the shorts.
Yeah.
And I really like that, and all the stuff that's going on at the moment we see with people rebelling against those sort of things. There's actually reasons for it. And actually, when I came to Thailand, I really appreciated so much that there was still that level of it's not really discipline. It's just the way people, the children have been brought up, and they expect it. But it's kind of rebelling a little bit now.
There's one thing I'll ask you from what you're saying, Ross. And I mean, you're sort of ticking all the boxes with what I did as well, and that is, do you realise how much you miss it now?
Of course. I mean, look, there were great times, and but the great times without you, because you were just living the life, right? You weren't actually, trying to think what we're going to do today, what we're going to practice, what are my things that are important for me.
Going with the flow. Yeah.
And that kind of went right the way through to my teenagers. I mean, I moved on from the junior school, ended up in the comprehensive as we talked about, went through there and kind of wasn't until I got to passing my normal, the O levels. I didn't do any A levels. I just passed on. I got 4 C's on O level, so it was pretty average. It wasn't anything special. Was you good at school, Bobby? English.
Sorry, Ross. Was you good at school, Bobby?
I was a C student.
A C student. What does that mean? Does that mean you're dumb, or what was that?
Semi-dumb.
Semi-dumb.
Yeah.
It means above average. You don't fail, put it that way. He's a fail. So it's like, you go like that and think, yes, thank you.
He used to bribe the teachers. He definitely bribed the teachers. What about jobs? Leaving the school, of course. At what age did you leave your school at, Ross?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got it. I mean, it's probably not bad because I got into my music very early. I became a musician at 16 as a punk, and my dad saw very clearly. I mean, my parents were incredibly supportive. My dad saw that, if this guy's, if we're going to stop him going off the rails, we've got to channel his energy and enthusiasm. Because I used to be really hyperactive as a child. I was doing so many things, but like we talked without realizing it. And he got me into. I got myself. I said, okay, I want to be a drummer. And he was like, wow. And of course, went through all the discussions with my mum and thinking about the neighbours and all that. I said, look, we can channel his energies. And it was the best thing that happened to me. It stopped me, being on the street, stopped me getting into drugs.
First thing that you learned, drums, Ross? Drums, yes?
Yeah, first thing I was passionate about, adamantly, fully passionate about.
That's amazing. That's amazing because, I mean, I've listened to your story so far. We've been on there probably 10, 12 minutes or whatever it is so far. And so far, you're just sounding like a mirror image of me because that was the first thing that I did was the drums. Yeah. No. And Bobby knows this. I wanted to, because I was at school, dyslexia, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to do something. I learned to play the drums, yeah? And I met a guy called Paul, and he had the set of drums from the Rolling Stones, believe it or not, which was on the back of the train when they did the video. And I went down there, and he says, "Okay."
Back of the train, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the Rolling Stones did a video when they were on the back of a train and they were playing, and this drum set was on the back of this train, and it ended up in his studio for some reason. And I remember him giving me the little pad, the drum pad,
yes.
The practice pad. Have you still got it? The wooden block with the black on it, yeah? Is that what you've got?
I've got this one. This is the Limpet.
Is that? That's posh. You're posh, Ross.
No, and then I've got the one on the knee. This is the knee one with a bit of rubber on. But this is your best wood here. This is a mahogany.
Okay, cool. Well,
these have all come out in recent life because I'd stopped playing for a long time, and then I got back playing, which we'll probably get onto. But the reason for saying that, because you mentioned jobs, I was earning money playing drums.
That's amazing, isn't it? You can earn money playing drums.
My dad got me remarkably. He says, look, I know you like the punk music, and he was supportive. My dad worked a lot in junior football, and he was in Manchester. His name is incredibly well known, Terry Cain, for the girls' junior football. He brought girls' football and small-sided soccer into the UK. He was instrumental in those changes. stop
Wow.
kids having to run up and down like a group of hornets chasing a ball.
Why punk, Ross? Why punk? Why punk?
Why not? With attitude, right? Living.
I'm asking you this because when I left
as well, right?
No, when I left the school and I was playing the drums a little bit. I ended up DJing and I played a lot of student union buildings, with the Clash, the Jam, and all these people. Yeah.
So all the college and stuff like that. Yeah.
So did you ever travel around the UK with the band?
Yes, of course.
Where did you go? Tell me where you went, because we're probably ticking boxes here.
Only into London.
Right.
That was it. Mainly, you see, Manchester's such a big music scene.
Yeah, sure.
You could go and do tours in Manchester. And I was in 2 bands, plus I wasn't earning money in those bands. I was earning money playing in the pubs and clubs.
Right.
Playing jazz. So I got into jazz and rock and roll and stuff like that. So I started going back in time into all the 40s and 50s music.
Nice.
And so genres just broadened. And so it gave me so much ability as a drummer. And then I started picking up music, learning, did some studio work. So it all, I was doing okay. But I was driving the ambitions of fame. So I recorded a couple of indie hits. One was with a band called King of the Slums, and one was with a band called Automation. Both in Manchester. One was a top 10 indie hit, and King of the Slums is still going.
Right.
Very, very indie punk band.
But I like that. I love when I DJ'd at the student union buildings, and we'd have like the Clash come along or the Jam or whatever. They were crazy. They were great. But I'm just trying to picture you now with a yellow Mohican, and it's just not gelling at the moment.
It was pink.
Pink. Okay, right. Let's get that right. Let's get that right.
You've got the yellow one. You've got the yellow one like your cartoon thing at the back there, but.
He was
mine was I had pink at the front, and then I had a green phase at the back somewhere along.
Oh, he's from the circus. That guy, he is actually the guy behind me, isn't he? The French circus. He's pretty famous.
Right, yeah. Okay,
he's pretty famous. So going from the musician side of it, playing music, learning all the different styles. Which sort of avenue did you take? Because, of course, when you've got so many things going on, how did you decide which one to concentrate on and pursue?
Well, here's the thing, right? My dad said to me, never stop learning, and never don't just make music your only thing you do.
Right.
Because you never know how. He said, look, I know, your uncle was a drummer and stuff, and, you've got to understand that you just don't know what's going to happen in the future.
True.
He said, just be like Queen. And he used Queen as an example. He said, those guys were all at university, and this, because I wanted to not go to university. I didn't want to do further study.
Right.
And he made me do that. And he said, do that because you'll meet loads of guys there who do music, and you'll get more into that scene.
Absolutely.
And so I did. I did business studies. And business studies in those days wasn't that well known. And I wanted to stay in Manchester, so it was quite difficult. So I ended up at a place called Stockport College of Technology. And they had a management technology department, which had all these great university lecturers, but they were all not university, ex-practitioners. So they knew all the tricks of the trade from being in business. And then from that, I was linked into Manchester Business School. And so what I did then is carried on playing, but I gravitated more into the business because I could earn money there.
Sure.
And then that led to my first job. And then
Which was what?
With Cadbury selling, because selling you get a company car, right? And you're responsible for your own car.
Clever guy. It's clever guy. It's clever.
I worked it out that I could still, if you set it all out, you can still. And I still remember I went and had my interview in a pub. I don't think people have interviews in pubs anymore, but I had an interview in a pub, and this guy brought this lady along that he introduced to his HR manager. It turned out to be his wife later on when I got the job. But I always remember your first boss's name, I think you did say. And he was called Larry Taylor, and he was a great guy. He was laid back. He was a musician. He used to be a manager in bands, and he'd been in ex-military and stuff like that. Lots of people were at that kind of time. That basically brought industry back up, brought industry into the 70s and 80s.
Where I'm from, of course, we've got the famous university, which is Loughborough University. You've heard of that. I was like you. I was only over the road, and I could hear the bell as well. So there we go. Not too far. So you've got your
Cadbury, by the way. That was so I joined Cadbury Adams, or Cadbury as it was in the UK. Cadbury Adams as it's known in Asia, and so I joined their tree board, so their confectionery sweet part of the business.
Right.
And my first introduction. So my first part of my assignment was to support salespeople that went on their holiday. I went there as a marketeer, but then I wanted to do sales, so I could stay in Manchester, not be based in Maidstone.
So was you dealing with the outlets around the UK and
I dealt with a region that was the north. It took me up to Newcastle. So I met a lot of interesting people and language there when I was traveling. All that middle area and then the breadth. And so what I do is I pick up because it was a northern sales team. So I pick up for all the managers that were on holiday or not well. And then one guy who was not well for a long time, an elderly sales guy, and I ended up picking up his territory.
Right.
But what I did, I just converted it, and I could get up at 3:30, 4 a.m. in the morning on a Monday, be on territory, stay there for 2 days. So work 3 days in territory, come back, and then have enough time to then play drums Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Happy days.
Yeah, but you could do it in those days. You didn't have tracking devices on your car, right? And you didn't have all this electronic stuff where you got to do your daily report. You just put paperwork in the post.
The non-tracking device on the car was a good thing because everybody couldn't see where your pit stops were. Is that right?
Exactly right. I mean, it's a little bit too much. I mean, they say it's for safety, and they say all this, that, and the other. But I believe, having gone all the way through now. So that was my early days. After that, I then joined Gillette. So I had a really blue chip. After that, I joined Philip Morris. So I went Cadbury, Trebor, Philip Morris, and then Gillette. So I had a really good blue chip grounding in sales and marketing.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I'd worked on the sales and marketing side by that time. And then I went more into commercial. I went into the pharma business. So I started moving around industries and moving up what they call the value chain from manufacturing to the consumption point.
Good.
And all that knowledge gave me an immense amount of experience. And then I went into what they call third-party logistics. And I worked with a company called Bibby International based in Liverpool. And that was the last company I was in. Wonderful, wonderful company. And I was settled in there. It was a private-owned company, the Bibby family, in Liverpool. So I travelled to Liverpool. So I'm Mancunian working in Liverpool. It's I got to get over it.
But the thing is, as well, as Bobby will say at the end, as well as I will say, and similar things, and that is, I had a lot of jobs and different things that I did myself. Always being self-employed since the age of 13, but the wealth of experience that you get from the people that you meet, it's all right saying, I was in Cadbury's, that's fair enough, it's your job, it's your day-to-day thing. It's not that, it's the wealth of knowledge that you meet within Cadbury's, within a job, within a society, yeah?
Let me tell you, I'll tell you a little story. When I got to Philip Morris, by the way, I don't smoke. I had not smoked, and it was one of the things that helped me in my music. I didn't smoke and I didn't drink. I took it really professionally.
Same as me.
Great. I think we could write a book. We could write one book in there. We could 2 books in one.
Well, you did say you were looking in the mirror, remember?
Yeah. And so when I got this job with Philip Morris, it was the ultimate sales challenge. Selling something you don't believe in, but you're selling the virtues and values and features and benefits of it. And they also gave me one of the worst territories, which was like Wigan and around that area, which was all like, untipped cigarettes and Park Drive and Woodbines. And so that was the kind of background to it. And they were all like super kids. So Benson and Hedges was king, and so was Players.
Absolutely.
Around the middle region of Manchester. And so it's a bit like trying to be head up a conservative party in this area. You've got no chance.
What about, Bobby, you want to ask him about his music side, because Bobby's sort of interested in your music. He's the guy at the end there.
You mentioned punk and jazz. Was that your roots starting out?
Well, my roots was punk. That's how I learned to play, and it's a great place to learn to play because
2 and 4 straight ahead.
It's 4/4, and then you get on with it. My first record though that I aspired to wasn't. I came from. I love listening to Deep Purple it was one of the first most influential bands on me. That style of playing and the Yes and those kind of guys. And Yes is much more clinical than a Deep Purple band. But all those bands, the psychedelic bands, I just loved that kind of music, and I loved the free form of the drumming styles that they have. But my first record that I did pogo into. So as a punk, you've got to learn to pogo. And my first one was Motorhead. Oh. And for me, it's the heaviest rock band song you could, but it's also a really excellent punk song. And I've always kind of been loose supporter of Motorhead and the Hawkwind stuff. And
Hawkwind.
that was and I got my mum. She took my mum took my because there was only flares available in those, so she took my trousers and turned them into flares for me. And so overnight, my pants became trainers. But so now to answer your question, Bobby, the reason I got into the jazz music, it led me in slowly with the crooners, all the crooners,
swing tunes.
And I joined. I went through. My dad had a friend who was an agent. My dad was a mason, and he had a friend who was an agent. He said, "Go meet this agent, and I'd like to meet him, and he was going to get you some gigs to play music." And he introduced me to this guy called Steve, and he played the organ, one of those organs that, and you can make all these. And so he'd play jazz on it, he'd play rock and roll on it, and he'd play all the standards. And he was using drum beats. And so I came in, and I used to go to his house and practice. And then we'd play all around Salford, and the pubs in Salford were absolutely crammed out in those days. Right?
So you're going out as a duo?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's kicking bass with his left hand, and you're grooving on the drums.
Honestly, the guy, and he'd be like this, and he loved the Beatles stuff, and we'd just go off. And the pub loved it. We had everyone dance, because everyone could dance still in those days. And we used to have real characters. And we used to have a guy called, he was an Al Jolson impersonator, and he'd come up all blacked up, just with a whole lot in I can't remember the pub's name, but in the middle of Salford. But anyway, but what we had is we had a lead MC that just came along and did. Tell me, this and had his bow tie on, and you can imagine, right? And he was like a crooner, and he was the crooner that never made it, right? So he's a beautiful guy. He's called Bernard. So you always remember those influential people in your life, right?
Stepping stones, and learning curves.
And so that answers your question. I got into it that way, and I was earning money, Bobby. I wasn't earning money
right away. You started gigging. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, thanks to my dad, kind of, took me places. He helped me. He said, "I'll help you with everything developmental, but you're not going to get any money off me. You've got to earn your own money."
I like your dad.
Well, right?
I like your dad.
So,
got to multitask.
If you want a car, you've got to earn money for it. So where you earn money is you go and play. All right. If you want to take a loan off me, I'll give you a loan. Okay. He said, if you want drums, you've got to earn money to get them, and don't use your student loan.
Good theory. So you're working at the company, and you're doing the music at the weekends, yeah?
Yeah, I mean that's what happened. That's what happened then. Yeah, and so I could do that, slot right into that, and play at the weekend. So I was earning good money then.
So where did you go from there? Where did you go from there? I mean, which direction did you go?
When I moved out of, I said to myself, if I don't make it in a band by 30, I'll switch and go focus on my business career. Uh-huh. And what actually happened then, when I got to 30, I was married, I had a daughter, and I lived in Chorlton, okay, Old Trafford, Chorlton, and I had a cellar, and I'd converted the cellar into a studio.
Right.
And so the band I was in there, we used to practice in there. And we had all the record companies interested in us at the same time around Oasis. So it was the kind of style with that, but we had a keyboard influence that again had a bit of psychedelic Beatles feel to it. And we got signed. And of course, once we got signed, brilliant. But of course, the deal you get as a band, they're going to pay for your equipment, give you a year deal, or with a rolling year, a year rolling. And then you get an allowance, right, as a band member. And then you go and gig. And I said, well, I'm working. I'm the only one working in the band. So you've kind of got to give me more of that money to pay for the mortgage, to pay for our rehearsals. Oh, no, we're going to rehearse in this place now. They've given us a rehearsal studio. Uh-huh. So you've got all this, right? I've just supported the band for a year and a half. I can't. And so that was it. And so I parted. I left the band. Wow. And I gave up the thing that I'd been driving for and adamantly wanted. And it was my biggest passion. I lived to do the music. Of course, I've got my family and I've got my daughter, but that was a real fundamental thing in my life for my passion outside family.
So until this point, you're not acting yet. You haven't even started acting yet.
No. I mean, that's all I've done. I mean, we didn't mention it. I've done some modeling when I was younger. That was all, and again, that's a little bit of money, but it's about ego and about
you
look great. Can I take some pictures? Yeah, sure, I know.
Bobby's done some modelling for Volvo, haven't you, Bobby?
Yeah. Now we can share some common knowledge, Bobby, right?
So, of course, the music is what? A stop.
So I
You
stopped
finished.
playing. Yeah.
That's the.
So I finished. I just finished. I went away from it for about 7-8 years, and I started concentrating on work, and I moved up through my work career, and then I got into doing some cabaret, doing your standard 70s classics and gigging around. We had a van, and a couple of the guys were professional with it. And I just go along with them.
What kind of stuff did you do, Ross, in them days, in the cabaret stuff? I mean, because as a DJ, of course, working in the nightclubs and that, we used to get all different acts come to all the different clubs. So right. I'm interested in
we were one of those. We were one of those acts. We'd be one of those acts.
So what kind of
a lot of Motown stuff.
Okay, okay.
And the stuff like Mustang Sally's and all that kind of thing.
Right.
Music, yeah.
So you were dressing up and doing the part.
Yeah, a little bit. We had two colored guys in the band, and we had that real good deep voice.
Okay.
And then I left that band because it was like a 6-piece band, so to try and share out your gig money, and we had a van as well, and it was and they were lovely guys. They were really, really lovely. But it just wasn't gonna. It just. I got the satisfaction, but it wasn't, we go up to the Lake District in the bloody van, do a gig at night, and then have to drive all the way home. I'd be home at 4 a.m. in the morning. Like, and quid in my pocket.
What did you have? Did you have a transit? Did you have the Bedford CF? I mean, what did you have? Commer van?
We had the transit with a double wheels at the back or something. I don't know. It was a huge. We had to take our PA everywhere and everything. It was bloody awful.
I mean, we used to see them. I used to work in the clubs, and the guys used to come along for the acts at the weekend, and of course, you always used to turn up in the vans, and the roadies, and the main singer was the guy that carried the big speakers on his back. He was the one with the arch back.
Yeah, you had to have a bloody sound desk guy as well. You had to take someone to do mixing. It's huge, this team we take with us. And anyway, I left there, and I thought, I've got to sit back and think about this, and I just put an ad out, and I linked up with a couple and I thought, we're going to do this smart, right? I want a 3-piece band. I want a 3-piece band, and we're all working. We're all got good jobs, and we've all got company cars, right?
Right.
And we arrive at the gig with our stuff, and we get on with it, and we're self-sufficient. And that's what I did. I met these two guys who were both similar, looking for similar things, Rob and Tony. Okay, and so we went out as a rock and roll trio, playing all the rock and roll stuff, and they had the guys had mics that were contact mics, so they could run around the audience.
Yep.
And they had a headset and the electronic pickups on the guitars, and so they'd run around and and it was superb. It was a great, and we earned some very good money. We could drop in, we take out. We've only got one amp each and stuff. If they got a PA there, we link it up. If they haven't, we have one thing for the vocal. It was very, very easy to do.
The thing is, as well, Ross. I mean, like you and like Bobby. I mean, we've all got great memories of what we used to do before and the way it was. And like you say, I mean, nights like that, traveling in vans with people in the back, sliding along on the bench seats, and half peed up from the night before or whatever. I mean, you can never replace that, can you?
Listen, I'm just going to backtrack a little because I tried to go through all my bands. We've been here forever, but I joined this heavy rock band just to get it out of my system, right, and to be a heavy rock drummer. And this really was the rainbow kind of music. And the guy had the keyboard player had the pants, and everyone had the long hair, and the singer was is a single singer, and he had to be Robert Plant, and he had to sing all these strange words. Anyway, so. We did this gig, and we turned up in Sheffield, and there wasn't a single person there. And we just did the gig. We just set everything up and just did a gig with nobody in the room, right? And we had somebody on the drum and everything. It was just like, oh, okay. And I thought, that was it. But the reason is because we were in the back of the van with all the kit sliding. Just because you reminded me, right? Going over the Snake Pass, and the kit's all up. I was like. I'm like getting crushed in the back, and
I've been in the vans, mate. I've been in the back, so and I'm sure Bobby has as well. I mean, it's
why did they pack this bloody thing there? Right? And it just moves all over the place, right? There's nothing you can do. You're holding it, but you just move as well. You just say, oh, I hope these doors don't open. Because they lock you in, and that's it. And
I can remember about when you said about the drumming and when you first started drumming. Just to take you back for a second, and Bobby sort of relates to this. When I was at school and I wanted to do the drumming, of course, I've got nothing, I'm from a council estate, whatever. So I sort of had bits. I got bits. And it was amazing because everybody I sort of went around, the old man or the dad or these guys go, oh, yeah, hang on a minute. I've got a set of hi-hats upstairs you can have. Oh, I've got a supers in under the cooker. I've got a snare drum in the shed. And that's how I got my stuff together. But those days, I mean, what was it like with you, Bobby, in those days? I mean, traveling and doing stuff, yeah?
Yeah, smelly vans, man, going down the highway.
I didn't want to go there. I thought we'd probably know about it, but none of us would want to talk about it. Right?
We got to say it, man. I mean, they were. I mean, it was like a skip upside down with all your kids in, weren't it?
I actually heard stories of the Beatles when they were touring as, in 61, 62.
Yeah.
They used to sleep on each other. They used to pile up on each other and then rotate because it was so cold in the van.
Yeah. And they had a comma van, by the way, a Bedford comma, I think it was. They had whatever it was. So you've gone in the rock band and you've thrashed it all out of you just to get it out of your system, yeah, because that's what you needed to do. Where did you go from there?
Well, I think the easy thing to do then is, I guess, fast track it because I went on them doing the bits of cabaret and stuff. Then I stopped playing and I got into Bibby. So we kind of got Bibby, which is Bibby International, and went back to music again. And what happened in Bibby just before I left, I'd started getting. I had a bad accident. When I was at Bibby. I was there for 5.5 years, and they're an incredibly supportive family company. I was training for a marathon, and I was out running with my girlfriend at the time. This is after my married had split up and I was divorced by then. And so this is really fast track a long way now. And I was out running and I'd been training, got home, it was on a bank holiday, and they were playing football on the field. Went and played football, cut that long story short, I got into this tackle, I got a reverse, and I'd not stretched. And I've always had tight hamstrings. And the whole lot snapped away from my pelvic bone. And I couldn't walk. And so, without telling you through all the details, all my tendons had come away and I just couldn't walk. So I ended up in hospital, a lot of problems with an operation. I was very lucky with the operation. I had an amazing Indian guy who was willing to take the chance on doing it. He was a shoulder specialist, but he took on the hip. I couldn't get anyone to do it. They couldn't fly me on private medicine to the US to do it. So I got the operation done. And I was in Tameside in Manchester Hospital, Tameside Hospital. And I was in hospital in traction for 3 months. And it took another 3 months before I could start walking. A lot of learning, step trampoline work. And then slowly but surely, I built it up again. And I had to learn to walk again with my right leg. When I started and just do the walking, you say to your brain it's lifting the leg, and it's not. It's dragging because it won't. Because the mechanics of the way the leg will work are artificial now. So you got to learn again. And so the whole thing had to, for it to become intuitive again, because you just walk. Yeah. It was like I had to teach my right leg to walk again. I've just
gone through that. Yeah, I had a stroke about 1.5 years ago. Yeah. So I was paralyzed. Wow. I was paralyzed for about 12 hours solid on my right side. Yeah. So I've been learning to use my arm again and my leg again, and think again.
All I can say to you is the rehab every day. Every day, and that's what got me into meditation. Lay in a bed for 3 months. I started. I didn't have anything to do, right? And the company, of course, couldn't give me any work to do. Once I got home and settled, they gave me a website to design. Because they say, okay, you can't go and see customers, you can't do anything. You were a marketeer, you're a GM here, but can you do our website? So I did all the website. But anyway, but that's where I started getting into meditation and the power of focused meditation on using that in your lifestyle to focus you to learn lines, to focus you to be an endurance runner, to get on a bike and just keep going and going.
Interesting.
And aim something. And so I've then taken meditation into many things I've done, and especially chanting. So, it's like you just start chanting, you run things through your head. And it kind of then, from that point, I realized just my spiritual journey, even though it had been with me early on, had really implanted its seeds when I was laying in the hospital bed thinking, am I going to be able to walk again?
It's a bit like you're sort of like, you like that kind of stuff, don't you, Bobby?
Yeah. I mean, my early 20s, I started meditating, and that was my path for many. I mean, it still is, but I mean, I sat every day for like 20 years every day.
So he's into the meditation.
Wow.
You like that, do you, Bob?
I can say, because he's a very peaceful. You can feel. Can you imagine sat in a room with Bobby? You must have a great time. You must just feel
it annoys me sometimes because I've got so much energy over here. I go, da. What do you reckon, Bobby? Well, it's okay. Ross, after you got out of hospital and you started to walk again, I mean, what was the path then? What path did you take?
I decided that my vision had grown and the world was, become accessible, and I thought, I'm going to start looking for bigger opportunities and see what's out there.
Right.
And I at that time there was nothing I wasn't considering. And then because when I was working in Bibby, a couple of the guys had come to Asia, and they had been speaking to other people and really not really kept in contact with them, but I was very close to them in England. And what happened was people start talking and they're looking for someone, and then I start getting phone calls from headhunters. All of a sudden, I get headhunters from Asia calling me. And I got offered for interviews for this company called DKSH, a Swiss company, Dietem Keller Sieberhegner. And I turned it down because there was SARS going around at that particular year. And then they came back the next year. And then I thought, you know what? But it was a really busy time at work, and they kept giving me these, right, can you come to Thailand now and have these interviews? And I couldn't. And so, but finally, I managed to get some time in October, and I went over to Thailand, and I had 9 interviews in Thailand for my job that I ended up getting. And then I had 5 interviews in Switzerland. I thought I'd got the job, but I passed to the level of being interviewed by the board in Switzerland.
Nice.
It was a high-profile job, and I got the job, and I went in, and it kind of became the bedrock of who I've become over the last 17 years.
Right.
So that kind of, and it was sad leaving Bibby, and at the end, I just started playing music again as well, because one of the guys, he wanted to have a dream. He had his dream to be an Elvis singer in a band. And so he said, Ross, come on, please, come and play drums. I know you used to be a drummer. I know you were really good. Please come and start playing drums. I just want my dream to come true and be Elvis Presley with the suit on and everything, singing in a band.
He's dangling the carrot. He's dangling the carrot, Ross.
And he did. No, he did. And we played. We were called the 30 Strum Things at that time, and we cobbled this band together out of the company. And we rehearsed in the cellar, and we did some good. We did just internal gigs. We only did gigs for the company, right? But I loved it. So when I left, by that time, when I was leaving, I'd been proficient on the drums again, and so I started calling all my ex-music friends, and I set up a concert for my leaving party, and it was just a big concert, like a tribute to me. It was wonderful. I had marching snare drum guys who came along, and I did a piece with them. I had my band from the New Romantic days that came along. We did some music together, and then we had the 30 Strum Things playing the rock and roll kind of stuff. It was wonderful. And my daughter did a beautiful piece with some acrobatic dancing and stuff, and she was amazing, Bethany. So then I'm in Thailand, right? And so my career just built up through.
So
Thailand.
we're talking what now? How many years ago now? 20 years ago now? Is it?
17 years, 2004.
17 years now.
Yeah, 16, yeah.
So what about so doing that, leaving the company and that? I mean, how did you progress from there, and what did you get? How did you get into the acting?
Well, then I have to fast track it even more, because I didn't start acting till late, and this is the crazy thing. Because, but it is good that we've spent the time talking about the story till then, because people may be able to attach back, and you'll get this just because of what we said a little bit earlier. So I was doing all my things at DKSH, and I progressed very well. I become settled. I was working really hard. I wasn't looking after myself. It was a 7-day a week job, 24 hours. It was really just full on. And my life started to go slightly off. I was drinking too much. My weight was going over. My cholesterol was up. So I really had to start focusing again. So I started getting back out into the meditation again, started doing things that were important to me. I started getting healthy with exercise. And I wanted the edge to come back. I lost that creativity. Sure. I'd always been able to capture for problem solving and creative thinking, and it had gone, and I couldn't get it. It was like the mojo had gone. And
well, you become this machine, don't you? It becomes laborious. It becomes Groundhog Day. It becomes sort of you're entangled.
It was so difficult to make something new. And
yeah,
my success had always been the business development, making new things for clients, like cost cutting, giving more value, and with ideas. And I was thinking, okay, I need a timeout. I thought, no, okay, well, it's not time for a timeout. I need to carry on working. I'm too young for it. So what I did is I thought, you know what? I'll go and take some acting classes. I'll just explore something totally different, creativity. And I searched around for some guys who were coaches, who were teaching in Thailand, and I found this guy called John Marengo. I'll say his name again because for him, he was again influential. And he was a guy, an NLP guy. I'd studied NLP back in the days in England. I met Bandler and those guys. And interpersonal stuff had always been part of my success in business, and also the values and the morals and being, having that integrity. And I'd always done very well in that. So I went to this and I just said to myself, look, the only thing I don't want you to do is let anybody know I'm not an actor. So you can tell, just want you to say, here's one of my acting friends that I've known for a long time. And he's from England. That's it. Yeah. Because I don't want to be, we're in this acting class and I'm there with actors that are doing this advanced class. And I did a couple of sessions with him and he said, yeah, you're good for this. So I just dropped in and I loved it. And I was doing, scenes where I was becoming emotional and I reflected on things and I could go back and capture scenes. And I did this recapturing of a scene with my daughter and I just bring the tears back and I could bring back to life and be able to put it in the situations I needed for acting scenarios. Wow. And the same bring the elation of, okay, this euphoria of finishing a half marathon after I'd got my leg fixed. That euphoria, I could pinch myself because I could get myself and I could feel the sensation of it and I could capture it straight away to be able to deliver what I need to deliver in what I was doing. So I did that and then I didn't think anything of it and I just went back to work and it worked. It just gave me doing this 8-week program weekends in a condo for a couple of hours. It really worked.
It reignited the spark.
Yeah, it did that. And I went back into work. It was like full of life, brilliant. And then about 2 years later, I got a call out of the blue from one of the guys I'd been acting with there. And he said, I want you to come and cast for a part. I said, well, I've not done anything. I've not done anything for it. He said, look, you're perfect for this part. He said, you're perfect. They can't forget anyone. He's been, the director's been looking for people. And this was a very close friend of mine, very, very good actor, Stefano. I forgot his surname now, but Stefano anyway, or Lawrence. Anyway, so he introduced me to the director, Jawed, and the part was, it became my first acting role, my first short film. And that was a guy called Kilroy, who was a host of a show that was between realities of life and death. And the show was very much about me being the host of the show, talking through this story of what happened with these people before they came to die. So I take a story, and that story would become for my audience. And I'd introduce the characters, they'd come on, I'd interview them, and the story would piece together through interviewing the characters.
Right.
And, all I did, for this character, I said all I did, because the character turned out really good, I just personified elements of me to create the character.
That's the thing. That is the thing that I've spoke to people over the years that done acting, and they've got to get into character. I mean, how do you? I mean, with your acting now and different things that you do. I mean, finding characters. I mean, do you sort of like study other things? Do you watch films? Do you watch other people to take bits from people?
I'm generally someone who I enjoy the entertainment of watching a film and not looking for anything specific.
Yeah.
Not being overcritical, just taking it for what something is.
Sure.
I think, what would my overall feel of that? But then if I'm working on a particular, now if I'm watching something, I might think, that would probably be a good thing to go back and look at if I ever do that character. And there's a lot of crime stuff that goes on now, a lot of investigation, a lot of psychological things that go on. And there's certain ones I've kind of seen, I thought, oh, yeah, okay, like Mindhunter and stuff like that. I think, okay, I really like the way those guys work. If we're going to do something like that, that's the kind of feel that I go back for. And but generally, what happens is, if I go to do a part, if I go to cast for a part, I will then study the part, and I'll consume myself with the character, and I'll go and get whatever source of information I need to learn about it, that character. This last year, 2019, I went for an audition as a pastor. I got the role, and I had to be Californian, so I went and studied all the Californian evangelists, some amazing guys who are evangelists there. But I locked myself on the guy in I can't remember the series, the Prime series. But it's based on a pastor in America, but he's not actually American. He's an English actor.
Right.
Hey, I'd like to. Can I just butt in here just a little bit here?
Sure.
And the reason why we're here today is because of Layla, and let's acknowledge Layla and her amazing personality and love. And we love you, Layla, and thank you for introducing us to Ross.
She reminds me of one of my aunties. She's like bringing me up all the time now. Well, I've got so and so, and I've got so and so, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this. And if you don't, you be a good boy now, won't you? Or you get a slap out, and it's like that. What can you do, Ross? I mean, come on.
She's fantastic.
I love her, mate. We love her. We love her, don't we?
Thank you, Layla.
Actually, initially, I was we talked about doing a show together, and that'll probably be a different. We've actually done. I'm going to say stand up together. We've done some acting pieces together, and we often appear as a husband and wife in acting roles, or two characters where they're putting these kind of things together, and we play off each other very well, as you probably imagine. Plus, I'm tall, so she likes that.
Yeah, I mean she's great. I've seen some of her pictures actually, and when it says, "Oh, this is me and so together," and I've had to look at the picture and I've had to look twice sometimes because some of the makeup that they do on her and the way they put it, the style.
She's got an amazing jawline. Angelic, yeah. And once they and she can go so many different styles.
Yeah,
very very versatile. And so the model, she's like top of the tree in terms of what she did in California and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant. Yeah. So career and acting and some of the stuff you've done, just fill us in on a few things for the people that are watching today. We're going to skim over it. We're going to do, the thing is, Ross, what we're not telling you is, this is part one, my friend, okay? Part two is what we're going to be talking about a little bit towards the end of the show, is where you're going and what you're going to be doing. And so we're going to get you back.
Already?
Huh?
It's that time already. I didn't know what time it was.
I'm not kicking you off. No, you can stay. It's all right.
I didn't realize it's almost 10 to. It's almost like, wow, we've been talking almost 15
It's
minutes.
okay. You're still on. You've paid as well. Don't worry about it.
Part three is a jam session with Bobby.
Yeah, jam session with this guy here. I mean, this guy is amazing. All right, so he's very quiet at the side of me, but this guy, when it comes to music, is very amazing. So I think you'll like that. What about the acting then? I mean, okay, so you've got into the acting and you've got this part that you've got in for. I mean, how did that take?
I mean, we kind of fast track. So I've been acting 5 years. Okay. From when. Actually, if you go a year before that, 2 years before that, I went to do my stuff with the acting school, right, with John Marengo. And then after that, I thought, okay, I'll start doing a bit more. After I went and did that Soul Transit, Kilroy, did a bit more. The easy way for me to get in and learn my craft was to go into theatre.
Right.
So I threw myself in theatre, and I joined something like a place called Culture Collective, and I did my first acting work there. And again, Lonnie Berry, who was here, he's back in America now. A great guy on acting, and he taught me a lot about the structure of character analysis and the importance of doing that. And he'd have a sheet of paper that we'd have to, and you'd have all this questionnaire almost about your character.
Right.
And I like all that stuff, so I get into that. And but alongside that, I build other things around it.
I had a good friend, of course, who was in Bangkok. You probably Dave Withers. You remember him, don't you? Yeah, I mean the director Dave Withers. He did the Broadway. I mean, sadly, I know Dave for a long time, but sadly he died. But I mean, he did Broadway stuff and films and everything. He was an amazing guy.
Yeah. Okay. So I just I was going to have a moment then to talk about that, but it's easier to get back onto.
No, go for it. I'm spitballing.
No, it just It made me think of some other people who passed away in the.
Yeah, I was saying that because when you were saying about getting into character and the piece of paper and the things on it about the character, I remember speaking to Dave and I was talking to him, and we're having coffee, blah blah blah, and one of the things that he said was exactly what you've just said, and that is that he had a checklist of the character.
Yes. And I just add to it, and that's why I love a whiteboard. I love whiteboard work, because you've got a whiteboard, you start with it, and you just keep adding stuff to it. Every time you walk in, just add something to it.
Yeah, sure.
I recommend anyone just to have a whiteboard. It's not just like the stand-up pop-up one. That's my.
That's a whiteboard, Ross.
I'm just throwing.
I'm not that dyslexic.
No, but some people think, okay, what do you mean? Is it like on the wall? Is it big? So it's a mobile one, and I use it all the time anyway.
The acting theatre where you are, that's in where? Is that in Bangkok, is it?
No, this is Culture Collective. It's not there. It's not there now. So there, I got my Best Actor of the Year award for my role in 12 Angry Men. I was juror number 3. If you know that film, it's an incredible film. And the juror number 3, it's the most intense, interesting character. But it was Cary Grant who got the main award for as number 3. So it's all about number 3 and number 8, playing off against each other.
Right. And
so number 3 has an emotional roller coaster, and it was a great role to play. And I brought so much into it. But for that character, I studied a lot, and I brought without going into the details, we don't really have time. But we do a character development session sometime. That's sure. That's interesting. So from that, I then went on to do some more theatre, a bit more theatre. 2019, I did three big pieces of theatre. One was where I was the pastor in Hand to God. That was what I think is the best, most professional theatre in Bangkok at that time. Sadly, it's not there now, and I feel the limelight in Assok.
Right.
And then I did 2 productions about Kafka, and I consume myself, if you know anything about Kafka, being Joseph K. Alongside that, for 2020, there's no theatre, so I did more film. I did The Cave. I was in The Cave. It took me 3.5 months to go through an audition process for that with Tom Waller. It took a long time. As soon as the boys had been rescued, the film was very different. There was different production companies looking to make the film. Tom got the rights to do a certain variation of the film, and in that he was looking for obviously all the key characters, the key divers. Right. And I was going along and trying to get the role of John Belanthan, who was the guy who found the boys. Yeah. I mean, my look for it was very different than this.
Right.
My top accolade that I got. I mean, I studied the role. The guy's a potholer, right? He's an anorak. He's an IT guy.
He is.
He's a totally opposite kind of character. And so I completely changed my character over the course of 2-3 months on the assumption I was going to get this job. And I never thought I wasn't going to get it, even though I only got told 3.5 months later I got the job. But as soon as I got told.
But what a good exercise, to put yourself through.
I put myself through it, and again, I meditated through it. I said, yeah, do it. And I put a backpack on my back, and I understood what the weight of oxygen tanks were. Yeah. And I filled them with bricks, and I just walked around, and I'd get this stoop, and I'd start walking around with the John Belanthan.
Get in the posture,
and get the posture
brilliant.
Right.
Brilliant.
So that once I got on set, because when you're in film, it's not like theatre. Theatre, you rehearse everything, you block everything is meticulous. In film, it's not like that, because they don't have not the time and the budgets for that kind of stuff. So a lot of the time you're rocking up and you're rolling with it. And there's a lot of trust goes on. And one of the key things was that they said, well, I'm not sure you can get the accent. So what we may have to do is, you've got the job as being him, but we may just have to overdub your voice, because he speaks it. And I said, no, give me a chance on it. And I had some speech lessons with this guy called Jim Davidson in the US. And I bought some, and I just did some linguistic stuff with him. Very, very good. And anyone who wants to look, you get into character, you've got to change your voice. You've got to change the way your enunciation works. And so the tricky bit with John Belanthan is that it was only a year ago and then the film was coming out. And so everybody still remembers the character. It's like a real character. It's not like, okay.
It's still fresh. Yeah, it's still fresh.
This kind of character. Yeah, it's very fresh. And it's the exact person.
Yeah.
So you've got to get it right. And also in Tom Waller's The Cave, there are actually real people in there in the film playing themselves.
Sure.
So you're there playing off people, part of the rescue mission.
Did you get to meet him?
No, not John Valanthan, but he saw the film and thought I was very, very good.
It's how surreal to be playing, how surreal to be playing the part of him with some of the real people that were there at the time.
There were so many legal issues about it. Even when you look at, if you see the film, it's a lovely film. The music's beautiful, and Tom had so many restrictions on the way he could do it.
Yeah.
And not least access to the divers, access to the children, and a lot of the divers were already signed up to deals.
Yeah.
And the idea you couldn't, and the guy who I play, I mean, now I can say because the film's been out and everyone can tell who I am anyway.
Yeah.
But my character was just called John, Jon. Okay, it wasn't called John Valanthan. It was Ross Cain, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. Now, if you get IMDb has got a slightly different version, but on the actual film, and actually, I think it just says UK diver because they couldn't put who I was because it was too controversial with some of the legal suits
and a lot of things that were flying around at the time with different things that were happening about the situation. I mean, it was from the, I mean, we won't go into it too much, but from the situation that occurred up in that cave, and from the situations that occurred after from that situation, was just unbelievable. It was just like a snowball. It was crazy. Yes. But where's it? So let's just fast forward to a little bit what's happening now, because you're going to come back and we're going to bring you back after where you're going now, okay? Because we want to come back and speak a bit more in depth with you about some other things. But we know from talking together that you're going to be sort of going and getting your hair cut, yeah?
I am indeed. In fact, today. This is why you were up so early to meet me today.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Are you going with the yellow mohawk?
Satu.
Yep.
I will be moving today to Kauai, and I'll be preparing for my ordination, which will take place on Friday, 25th of December. And I'll spend a few days in a cave temple there with the abbot and the masters there and the monks. And then I'll move from there to Chachoengsao to further my meditation study as a monk. And my plan at the moment is to stay in there until the best part of January, and we'll see how it goes. But my plan is to be there for, and actually it wasn't. My plan is to be there now till the middle of January, but I had to really rush to make this happen because it wasn't what I was thinking. It wasn't in my schedule it was going to be early this year. It didn't happen. Then I thought, okay, I'm going to put it to next year over that song. But I met if you go around, I'm looking for my temples, where I'm going to go, and it's not that straightforward. You got to go through a lot of administration, especially as a foreigner to do this.
Yeah.
And you've got to go through a lot of administration, especially at the main temples. And so they've got to accept you, and it's not just the particular temple. Then they have to go to the regional and the provincial, and so the people have to do. There's all different interviews for it, just like for a job. I finally ended up at this lovely, and again, it's and in that process, I kept meeting monks who said, your time is over Christmas and New Year. You should do it this year. You should do it now.
Right.
And this is just back in November. I'm talking to people to set up for next year.
Right.
And it turned out, and they didn't know this, but the monks that are really in tune, they know so much about you. They know so much about life and the way things slot, because they live on different planes, and how some of them use it in the wrong way, but most of them use it in the right way. And he said to me, you used to do all your meditation over Christmas and New Year. And he had this particular one. And then a second monk followed it up with the same thing in a different instance. Mm. And it's when I had my master in Chiang Mai, Rim area, in the mountains, and he was a hermit monk. And through a long story of getting to know him, I'd been going to meditate with him over New Year for many years. And so I learned a lot of Buddhism, meditation, techniques, and being with him in this very, very incredible, surreal, ethereal setting in the mountains.
Right.
So, and they knew that, and so they said, "This is the time you got to do it. It's not. Don't do it, Songkran. It's not your. This is your auspicious time, if you like, to do it." So everything's been rushed, and I've slotted it all into place, and I go, and then that's going to be it. So yes, it's going to be.
Should be exciting time as well for you as well.
Listen, I am massively excited about it. I mean, to say massively excited about going and sit there all day and meditating, but believe me, it's something I really, really want to get into.
And you've also got to pray that the hair comes back. By the way.
Well, it's all about different characters. This was for this was like this for the artistic move. It suited it. I let it grow long to be a bit hippie-ish kind of thing. And it worked well in the characters I'd been doing, and then I recolored it into this kind of yellowy kind of color just to try and soften me a bit as well.
Well, listen, Ross, it's fascinating what you've done, and we've skimmed over a few things today, and we're going to come back and do part 2. We're going to see how your meditation went, and what did you think of it, and come back and talk about that. Plus, we want to talk a bit more about the music side as well, because I mean, Bobby, I would imagine at the end here, he's going to have 1,000,001 questions for you, which he normally does.
Okay.
It probably. True, Bobby.
I just want to play, man. Let's play.
Yeah, we can play. Can you play? Can you play something?
We can do a virtual thing.
All right. Wow.
No, but you're going to be coming down this way at some point, so
yes,
we'll connect up.
You'll have to come in the studio and have a jam with Bobby.
I tell you, just before I talk about the music, there was one thing that, and it's because we've spent a lot of time on. I mean, we really raced through it.
Yeah, sure.
But the starting acting late shouldn't be something to put people off, because I've made a real good place for myself as a professional actor in
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
But the thing that's enabled me to do that is to pull from my past.
Sure.
Because someone who's a professional actor for 20 years, they don't have
the past
this thing to tap into.
No.
And it's just that richness of, like you're saying, the sales interactions, going into news agents and trying to sell them a pack of bloody Marlboro. Right, they're not interested. An Indian, I don't go. No. So having these kind of interactions, you get to understand, and it sinks into your subconscious.
Yeah.
All different ways to be, to interact with different people at all different levels. Then.
Sorry, Ross. I always think as a dyslexic is this, right? And that is the things that I've learned. I mean, I went abroad at an early age and met a lot of people like, we all did. But being this dyslexic, I sort of like pigeonhole all these people in my head. It's really weird because, when I'm talking to somebody, not the acting side, because I've not done the acting side, but when I'm talking to people and people are talking to me sometimes, I've got like little voices at the back of my head who reminds me. And when you've just said Switzerland, for example, I lived in Interlaken, yeah? In Switzerland, I lived there, and I can remember as soon as you said Switzerland, I remember the guy called Peter Kirchhoff. I remember the way that he spoke. Oh, good morning, Dave. How are you? He used to speak like this.
So you can slot straight back into that and get on Patia Players Theatre.
I'm in. You sign me up. Sign me up. Hold your hand, and I'll come with you, mate. That's no problem. Two dyslexics make two. Is that right?
Yeah, so maybe, well, exactly. I mean, maybe you hit on something. It's maybe we try harder then, because it's right. You've got to you lock into things because you've got to do it, and quite often you've got to listen to things more and do this and in the way the thinking process works.
But you don't see it the same way. It's very hard because as a dyslexic, it's very hard to explain to somebody how you see things. Yeah, I mean, Branson is a dyslexic. Musk and all these people, they've all had problems like that. All these people have had these problems, and even Branson says, being a dyslexic, he doesn't know anything about this, didn't know anything about that, and he said the best money to spend is somebody else's, which is correct. But he has all these. Like a lot of dyslexics, he has all these adventures. He has all these things that he's thinking all the time. The mind never stops, and also all these little drawers are in your head of all these people you met. I mean, like you've said, Switzerland. That was 1981 for me. So you've just brought 1981 back to my head, just like that. You know what I mean? So it's weird.
Okay, music now.
Go on, music.
So I've not played in a band, a proper band.
Yeah.
I've done some recording here. I've got friends who are very famous Thai musicians, Homeboy and Bun, Sindra and Brothers, and they have a radio show. They're very famous, right? So those have been my very close friends, and I play music with them. I play cajon and stuff, and but I'd never played in back into rock and roll or rock music, just whatever you want to call it, psychedelic rock. Anyway, and so I kept getting pestered, and this guy called John Stubbs, who actually lives in Pattaya, he pestered me a few times to start playing again, and he initially wanted to set up a punk band. Right. And I met up with him and thought, I just don't want to start. It's just too much effort to get playing again. It's like getting the old car out and having to, give it a full, do everything with it. And, so I just thought, no, it's not the right time. And then he came back again and said, come on, Ross, we'll do something different. We'll do like a rock band, just do a few standard things that we know, you'll probably know them as well. So, but come along, this guy, Henedge, he's got a studio in Bang Na. Just come along and just have a jam with us. That's all. So I said, okay, all right. And we set a day for like 2 weeks hence. And I thought, okay, get the sticks out, start practicing on the pads and start getting back into it. And it's a bit exactly like what I mentioned before. I'd lost the edge. I was not interested. And I just was interested, just gone. It had gone, right? What I'd started doing was playing percussion. And I'd started playing percussion with children. I become a drum facilitator. So I educated to become a drum facilitator. Went to Hawaii, did all the certification for it. And so I was doing bits of drum circle work. I just don't want to do drums. And so I went along and I did it, and I absolutely loved it. And the two guys were superb. Henage wanted to get and as part of me going into it, because his son, who's 18, just coming on 19, he goes to Switzerland, as it happens, to study. And he's leaving in March. He's leaving in March. And so the idea, originally it was going to be January, now it's going to be March because of COVID. And so he's doing the online preparation and study. So what happened? And I thought, this is really nice to be able to do for his son. Okay, fine, I'm gonna do it. And so we came along, started playing. Anyway, it just started going like this, and these guys were really good. They're really good musicians. And I thought, shit, I've got to pull my game up here because I don't want to be, like the jackass kind of thing. So I thought, okay, and I started really practicing then and getting back into it. And it's like, you never lose it, but it takes time to get it back up.
Absolutely.
And I always find when you go back to something that you've not done for a long time, you have a different way of looking at it again, and you're looking at it from a different perspective. I don't know, Bobby, you probably might get this, but and I don't know if you've not played for a long time. But I'm like playing differently, and I'm like playing in a style that has just got so much more of me to express behind a drum kit now.
It's actually powerful. It's actually powerful to put your instrument down for a little while. Some people think they need to play every single day, but if you go through a period of not playing for 2 weeks, things open up on this whole different level, and you come back to the plate and you're expressing yourself and hearing things differently.
Yes, I absolutely. I get that totally. I get it totally. And it's, I just feel enriched. I have a richer feeling for playing. And so we had 5 rehearsals, right? Our 6th rehearsal was playing the gig that we did just recently. We were second band on, and the only reason they accepted us, it was for the old Plunket Fair. Plunket Fair didn't happen this year, but they did a concert, and they put on all bands that were pretty well known, and gigging bands that the past, and the Ramblers, Midnight Ramblers were on.
Joe Cummings.
Yeah, well, Joe's a close friend of mine. I've acted with Joe actually in Bangkok days. He's a really close friend. And he came to the cast and crew, close friends, showing an artistic move. So Joe's wonderful, and I've been to see his band a few times. So they were headlining. That gives you, and then it goes down like the Bangkok Beatles. You'll know they were on the Grumps, that girl band. So it was a kind of a decent profile. The best profile lineup you're going to get this kind of genre of band, right? They're all really good musicians. So we got on because Henage knows the pub setup there, the guys, and this was a Shenanigans. Great pub. Sure. They did, on the outside piece, they did an amazing setup. They set up an outside stage. They had a beautiful stage set, and the sound system was immense. They had an incredible sound system. Their equipment, because I'd turn up and sit behind a drum kit. Right. Luckily, there was one band on before us. And they were really quite a seasoned band, but they just didn't have this excitement. They were just like a really clinical, and they're like when a covers band just does the covers, they don't go anywhere. There's not an express.
No. You've got to get your identity, haven't you?
You've got to do interpretation. I love doing
absolutely
playing off, and so I mean, like we started, and so when we're putting this music together, we don't want any boundaries. So it's like, so we said, okay, we can mix, Riders of the Storm with Gotta Wear Shades, which is totally different types of music, right? But they work in the set, and actually not many people do Riders on the Storm because it's such an expressive, it's kind of, and it's really a lovely piece to play. And then we started doing Hawkwind's
Silver Machine.
It's got to do it, right? It's just like
it's got to do it. It's an anthem, Ross. You cannot do it. I mean, when you said Silver Machine, of course, as Hawkwind, and when you said yes, of course, that was the owner of a Lonely Heart, wasn't it? Yeah. So I mean,
I don't think so.
Was it Owner of a
Yeah, that was yes.
Yes, yeah.
But later on, yeah.
That was
Not later. It sound like that.
Yeah.
So much later, it didn't sound like that.
Yeah, true. But I like him. Listen, we're gonna lob it off, right? We're gonna come back to you after you've gone and done what you're gonna be doing and enjoying yourself and relaxing, and hopefully come out of it with no hair and more education. Yeah.
No eyebrows.
No, do they take the eyebrows as well? Yeah. Damn.
Looking forward to that.
So Ross, you're
but just sorry, Bobby. No one believed me. Everyone's thinking, is this a character? It's a character, right? You're doing a character.
You must send us a selfie before you go in, mate. All right, is that all right?
Before I go in.
Yeah, you get all the air off and and then just send us a selfie.
Did you know that Tales from Topographic Oceans was pretty much it was there was 2 records, so 4 sides. That whole journey of Tales from Topographic Oceans by Yes was John Anderson's reflection on Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, who you probably know about.
Wow.
Yeah, I found that out years later, and I was listening to that stuff when I was 13, 14, 15 years old. And then I read later that was all about his connection with that book, Paramahansa Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi. Yeah.
Well, I might have to check that out. I'll have to do that quickly before it goes out on my short-term.
He lost me, you see. You see, he goes off on one. You see what I mean, Ross? He's gone off on one. He said Yogi, and all I thought straight away was Star Wars, you see.
Yogi Bear.
You got two
Yogi Bear.
Ross, have you enjoyed it? Has it been okay? Have we done all right?
Wonderful. I can't believe the hours gone that fast. An hour more, right?
It's flown, mate. It's 11:15 in the morning now. Believe it or not. But we've enjoyed it. Listen, good luck with what you're doing and where you're going. All right, have some good meditation, and hopefully we can get you back, be it in the studio or be it back on the screen. Talk about some other stuff more in depth, because I'm sure there's some great stuff that we can talk about, because we've skimmed the surface of different things today, which we do. We like to give people a little bit of a sprinkling of what you do. So good luck with that one, yeah?
Ross, this is going to be a powerful meditation for you. Saturn is conjunct Jupiter right now. This is going to be like super amazing. That's what we're feeling on the planet right now. We're feeling the Saturn Jupiter conjunction right now, which is bringing up everything on both sides. It's bringing up expansion, but it's also bringing up the shit is hitting the fan aspect of humanity right now. And that's what's going on.
Saying that because that as well makes it all the more, incredible.
Yeah.
Well, we've been connected to here today, so I mean, we've all had a connection today in whatever way. So we've got quite a lot of things in common, as you've probably seen as the show went on, and I'm sure we're going to find some more in the next part 2, and hopefully part 3 when Bobby gets his guitar out and brushes off his. You're going to brush off your guitar and have a go with him, yeah? Is that right?
Absolutely.
So you've got to come in the studio at some time, Ross, yeah?
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, okay. Good luck from us, from Bobby. It's goodbye.
Namaste, Ross. Have a good drop in, man. You got to get in to get out, right?
And from me, Ross, thanks a lot, yeah?
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand, with your host, Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.